Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. This is my favorite type of watch to discuss. Rare, exquisite, complicated, and fascinating. It has a backstory. Back in 1994, the Hourglass Group, a large retailer out of Asia, purchased the combined Bvlgari and Daniel Roth manufacturer in Le Sentier. It, in turn, sold the combo to Bulgari in 2000. By 2010, Bulgari decided it was time to get serious about watchmaking, which meant it had to subsume those two legacy brands into Bulgari's watchmaking activities. So from 2010, it began folding the two into Bulgari watchmaking, first with co-branding, and then later taking cases like the Ellipso Curve X from Daniel Roth and the Octo from Bvlgari, and solely branding them Bulgari. But in 2012, Daniel Roth still rated mention on the watches bearing his influence. And so what we have here is the 2012 99-piece rose gold Bulgari Papillon Voyageur, and yet the name Daniel Roth appears on the dial and 2 times on the case back. The Roth brand persisted under Bulgari a little bit longer than GMT, which was pretty much phased out by 2012. Although this is the Ellipso Curve X case from the late 80s, as invented by Daniel, it's a little bit more elaborate and it's definitely a lot bigger. It's 43.1 across, 15.5 if you measure the thickness at the center, 50.5 lug tip to lug tip, and then the spacing between the lugs is 24 millimeters. We'll throw it on my wrist, and my opinion is that this watch is too big for me. I think you need a wrist of at least 17 centimeters circumference to wear this well. Now, if you take a look, you can see the lugs are out to the edge of my wrist. They're not beyond, but I do think the size of this and the mass of it and the sheer power of this much rose gold demands a mightier wrist than I have. So 17 centimeters circumference and up. It is not as thick as you think, though. Taking a look at the strap, it's a meaty piece. Very large, rectangular, symmetrical scales. This is an expensive cut of the animal. It has a sort of designed-in distress to it. It's not used in any way. It's a brand new strap, but you can see it's sort of a reddish brown on the top, semi-gloss, a little bit of a distressed effect. We have a monotone stitch. We have a cut edge that's lacquered for a clean finish, and then on the bottom, you could see calf skin. And even when there were no Bvlgari or Daniel Roth branded watches coming out of the Bulgari Empire, they were still the source for all parts, service, and straps. So you can see they provide the strap here. Also important to note here, we got a full clasp. So you can see we've got Bulgari on the buckle, twin trigger release, so it cannot pop open inadvertently. You have to press them, double folding action. A folding clasp, always welcome, because it's a little bit more insurance against the possibility that you would drop your watch while donning it or removing it. The strap integrates completely with the case band, which creates a nice integrated look. There's no daylight here, but it does create some stiffness since the strap can't pivot inside the lugs. Taking a look at the case, you can see it has changed from the 1990s when Daniel was still running the company. First of all, we have this very pronounced slope from end to end, and then this unusual dip down at the 6 o'clock and the 12 o'clock ends of the case. So Bulgari described this as a double ellipse, and I guess they're not wrong in that sense. Here we have an unbranded crown, which is an interesting design decision, but it is consistent with the way the watches were made under Daniel. Then we have a combination of polish and media blast on triggers that allow me to individually index that second time zone, which you will note is in a 24-hour format. So we have 2 different displays here, both in a 24-hour format. One of them is a jump hour. So right here, you can see we have the jump hour, and that is the primary time zone. Now note this little spinner, which allows you to trace the 2 scales, each of which reflects 60 minutes. But notice how the mechanism rotates into position. See that right there? It's a unique design, and God is in the details here. Now, taking a look at the top, you can see what I mean when I say both of these time zones, the jump and the scroll, are in 24-hour format. So that is truly helpful to me. We also have this lovely Champlevé lacquer upper dial where the metal has been scooped out, then filled with white lacquer, alternating in white and clear coats. Heat-treated, hand-polished to create this wonderfully flush combination of lacquer and golden dial, which you could see is integral with the scale for 24 hours, which is guilloche cut. And then under that, we have this lovely carriage with brushed and beveled finishing that is truly hand-decorated, and that acts as the carriage or the carousel for that second time index. This is caliber I-307, I should say. It is Girard-Perregaux based with the Daniel Roth complication module on the top. You can see right here, it will jump in both directions. Now, also worth mentioning is that we have a combination of nickel anthracite base, vertically brushed. We have concentric brushing with bevels on the side in gold. And then we have these fired blue elements with a little aperture for the primary hour. We turn it all over now. You can see the Girard-Perregaux base. It's a 3300 automatic winding with unidirectional winding action. It's got a 45-hour power reserve in this application. It's got a 4 hertz beat rate, 26 joules. And you can see it is 5-position adjusted, which is the high horology standard. It's also what you see on chronometers. We have a combination of Côte de Genève. We have a lot of engine turning, which is characteristic of this base movement. You can also see the beveling is quite good. It's polished. It's started mechanically, but it's probably finished by a hand pass because it is rounded on most surfaces, and on the edge of the bridges, you can see it's nicely polished and angular. It is a high horology movement that is held in high esteem alongside the likes of the Zenith Elite and the JLC 889 and later the 890 series as a thin, fine, high horology tractor movement, often used in complications. You can see that the watch is a dress watch, so 30 meters water resistant, don't do anything crazy. You can also see that they don't want you testing your hand opening this case, so they use these unique screws to keep everything fixed. Individual numbering, Bulgari and Daniel getting equal billing on the case back. Of course, the case was produced by a supplier, and that's the maker's mark right there. But the movement, a combination of GP and Bulgari, which today has Horlogerie in-house and has revived both Gerald Genta and Daniel Roth. So you can put this on your wrist and show your friends with the new Ultra Thin and the new Tourbillon that you were a fan back in the day before Daniel was cool again. So reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.